Hey, look at what I got here. This is a jewelry box I got for my daughter to make over for my granddaughter. And it was originally come from Walmart. And it definitely needs a good cleaning. Here is the front. And we got the glass. So what I'm gonna first start doing is removing everything. I'm going to remove the drawers. And then we are going to remove the doors. And I've got the doors off. I do like to keep my hardware in a little cup so I don't lose it. And then I'm just gonna dust off these pieces and get them ready to wipe down, sand, all that good stuff. I just use a cleaner I pick up from the Dollar Tree. And like I said, prepping is gonna be the most important thing in this entire project to make sure that the outcome turns out the way that you expect it to. On the bottom, I do want to go ahead and remove these tags, and I'm just going to use some heat and a razor blade. Now, this one tag was a doozy to try to get off, so I did end up putting a lot of scratches right there, but that's okay. I have an idea to cover that up without having to sand it down and all that good stuff, because this jewelry box is made of MDF. It's not real wood. So I just want to be extra careful on how I sand it, how much moisture I apply to it. But once I get done with the bottom, I'm going to flip it on the top. I'm going to scrape. I don't know, there was some candle wax on here. So I just kind of scrape that up. We're going to clean this down, see what I've got to deal with. And you can see the top of this is in pretty rough shape. So I am going to grab a 220 grit sandpaper and I am going to start sanding that down, seeing what I can get up. Now, after I wipe that first sand away, you can see I still have some issues on the surface that I do want to address. So I am going to try to grab my sanding sponge and I'm going to work around some of these little bumps and lumps. It's probably just where it had gotten wet at one time. So I'm just going to try to smooth it down as good as I can. And then I am going to go around it. I'm going to dust out the inside. I did not get it recorded, but the drawers, I did go ahead and just take a brush and just try to clean them out the best that I can. They were in pretty good shape, just a little dusty. And then I did spray some of my cleaner on my towel, and I'm just going all over that inside, just getting it as clean as possible. I even go over the fabric a little bit. Now, I also want to take off all these knobs. That just makes painting a lot easier. So with a towel to protect the knobs, and then just a hammer with some light taps, I'm just going to work my way around the knob, just tap, 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 and just I keep churning so I can tap in different sections on that handle, and then I can eventually just pull them off. And then I can go ahead and paint the drawers. I did go ahead and apply some painter's tape so I didn't get any paint on the fabric. And the paint I am using is Iron Gate. This is a Heirloom Traditions paint. I love this paint. I don't know why I didn't buy my white paint in this brand. I have done so many projects with this and it just lasts forever. But I apply 2 coats of this paint around those drawers. And then as far as the box, I paint everywhere that is black. I paint. With the exception of the very bottom. But again, on the back, I apply 2 coats. On the top, I do end up applying 3 coats. And then I also go along that trim because you can see that when those glass doors are open. So just want to paint everywhere that can be seen and needs a fresh new color paint. Okay, I've got my glass pieces all cleaned and laid down, keeping in mind that they are 2 different sizes. So I've got 2 that go on the front of the jewelry box, 2 that go on the sides. I want a decoupage on them. but I'm gonna try something on one of them to see if this is gonna work. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a black. I know you're like, what? You're decoupaging. Why are you starting with a black? There's a reason behind my madness. So just the process. I don't know if I can trust the process, but we're gonna try. Let's see, I want a nice smooth coat. So I'm gonna start with black. I'm gonna do one because I don't know if this is gonna even work. I'm gonna put a coat of this black. After I get it dried down, I'm just gonna pick it up and I'm gonna see how translucent it is when I flip it over. I don't want all those streaks on the back side. So we're gonna apply another coat. And I may even go to a sponge dauber. That might work better. Okay, so I got another coat on there and I just want to make sure you cannot see. If any got on the front, that's fine. We can clean it up later. But there's no streaks or anything that I can see, so I'm happy with that. It is dried down enough, and now I'm going to take a white paint. And I'm going to use a sponge dauber for sure on this coat because I don't want to take a chance of mixing the white with the black. And I am going to apply a coat of the white. I really hope this works. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry. All right, so let's see. And it is still black on the one side, and now we can decoupage on this side. Let's see, it's still a little wet, so I'm gonna give it a little more time to dry. Okay, so I printed this out. I'm gonna have the link to the designs. I've got 2 different images. You are gonna have to resize this on either Canva or some kind of program. You'll have to resize it, which is what I did. I've got 2 coats on both the front and the back. I don't want this ink to spread, so I covered both sides with 2 coats of this 2x matte clear Rust-Oleum. And we're just going to trim it out. Then we're just going to decoupage this on. I am using DIY clear liquid patina. And I love using this fan brush. I picked these fan brushes up from the DIYstruggle.com. These fan brushes work great for decoupaging and even light painting. So I'm also going to be using this little roller just to smooth all that paper down and let it dry. Okay, once I've got the paper dry, I'm just going to sand off that excess. Now, when you're sanding, just go in a downward motion, getting all that excess paper off the edges. And in addition to going downward, sometimes I'll just go a little sideways as well. Okay, before I clean up the back, I am going to apply Big Top for my sealer, and I'm going to apply 2 coats to protect that. Now to clean up all that glue and stuff that got on the back, I'm just going to use this razor blade and just skim along that surface softly, removing all of that gummy mess. I'm also going to go around the edges just to kind of clean up that glass because I don't want it thick with a bunch of glue. And then once I get all of that off, I'm going to take some regular rubbing alcohol and just wipe that with something that is lint free. And oh, so much better. And then we can pop these back into their places and reattach the hardware that's going to hold them into place. Now to address the bottom, they just had some of those protector pads still remaining on the bottom. Actually, it was really just the adhesive. So I am going to use my razor blade. We're going to scrape all of that off. And then with that same razor blade, I'm going to go over that scratchy area and just kind of try to smooth it out and get a little bit more of that paper on there. I guess because of the age and heat, that paper just really did not want to come off. So I'm just trying to smooth it up a little bit. And then I'm going to take some dark and decrepit liquid patina and kind of use it like a stain and just go along that entire bottom. And I am just applying that liquid patina just with a shop towel, just smoothing it on. You could also definitely paint this. Now with my Cricut machine, I had found some stickers on there that just said, "Love you, Grandma." And I thought, what a better way to remind my granddaughters that this was from their grandma. I do wish I would have made the stickers a little bit larger, but it is what it is. So with that dark liquid patina, I am just going to kind of darken the stickers up. I'm going to paint it on and just kind of dab it off with a shop towel, and then I can leave that to dry. And then I'm just going to reattach those doors and this project will be finished. Let me know what you guys think. I hope my granddaughter loves it. I'm hoping she will. I really do. She advised me her favorite colors were black and anything dark. So it was a little challenge. But you guys will have to let me know, how do you think this jewelry box makeover went? All right, so I picked this jewelry box up at a yard sale. I believe it was a yard sale. It may have been a thrift store. I tell you what, the more you pick up, it's like it all blends together. But I want to remove all the hardware once again. Most of them pull off. The ones that don't, we're just going to use the little hammer trick and just kind of tap, tap, tap them off and pull them out. Now, occasionally you may get one that breaks off like this one did. It broke off though enough to where I can still push it in there. So I will reattach that with some Star Bond CA glue. But in the meantime, we are going to just get all the stickers off, all that hardware off. And I do place all my screws in little tubs to keep them safe from getting lost. And then I'm going to take a 220 grit sandpaper and sand down all my wood pieces, cleaning them off with some of this Dollar Tree cleaner. Now, before I start painting, I've got some of these stencils I picked up from Amazon, and then I've got some of this modeling paste I picked up from Hobby Lobby. And with one of these little spatulas, which this isn't the best spatula, it doesn't have the whitest surface. One day I think I'm going to buy me just something a little larger, but I do want to get this on right here at this corner of the outside of the lid. And I'm trying to get that paste as smooth as possible, because if you leave lines in the paste, it's going to be seen, which we can always sand down, but it is really hard to get it extremely smooth. So just want to do that in the beginning and just smooth it out. And this is what we will have. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other corner right here. And once those are on, I am going to set it aside to dry. Now, along the sides of the jewelry box, I want to put some butterflies. And I am going to be using some painter's tape. I will tape off the areas that I am not going to want to be transferring onto the box. Just trying to take some extra precautions, a little less cleanup in the end. And then just doing that same process, I'm just going to smooth this modeling paste all over, just doing the best I can to get it as smooth as possible. I'm going to repeat this process for the opposite side of this box and let both sides dry. Now, this jewelry box is going to go to my youngest granddaughter, the sister to the other granddaughter. I just didn't want to give the one without the other, but she informed me she loves the color blues and pinks. So I am taking the color Prom Queen from DIY Paint, and I'm going to paint all of the wood areas in this color. And once I get that paint on, I am going to use some clear liquid patina to seal it. And then with my Cricut machine, I just kind of created it, but kind of used an already image. I do pay for the Cricut access, but I wanted different fonts, so I just kind of worked it out on my own. But I'm going to transfer this stencil onto the inside of the lid of this jewelry box, making sure when you place your stencil on there that when you open it is how you can read it. To stencil on, I'm going to use the color Vintage Victorian from Folk Art Matte and just a little brush and doing a couple of coats. Once I get that finished, I'm going to take some white wax. This is from DIY, and I'm going to go over all of the sections with a coat of the wax, just brushing it on, and with a towel just kind of wiping off the excess. I really wanted to outline these butterflies. I'm thinking I should have maybe filled those side butterflies in with that color pink, but I didn't want it overdone. I didn't want the pink on the outside. I didn't want it to look like an Easter egg, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But you guys will have to let me know. What would you have done to the butterflies on this side? But once I get this wax on everywhere and wiped off, I can put this jewelry box back together, and then this project will be complete. Thank you guys for spending this week with me. I really truly appreciate it. Sorry I only have 2 projects in this video, but we did have a family emergency which kind of prevented me from doing a whole lot. So I definitely appreciate you. And hey, if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, I would love to have you as part of my DIY family. And don't forget, hit that hype button. Let's get this video pushed out so others can see. And you guys, I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.